Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and thank you for tuning in here in 2025. A proud member of the Education Podcast Network, VoiceEd Radio Canada, or wherever you're taking in your podcast. Thanks for being part of it. Leave us a positive review and a comment in the show notes. We are going to meet a superstar today. We are going to meet an energizing, awesome, incredible, super competent person, Honorée Corder. She is a book publisher. She is a professional book writing coach. She's an author herself. 67 books. Where's my little thing? Oh, I got to celebrate that. My God, incredible writing, and we're going to learn about it. So if you're interested in writing a book, if you are interested in learning about book writing, stick around and we're going to meet Honorée in just a minute. A quick word from today's sponsor, IXL. Appreciate their support of the show.
I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part? Everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes, and again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast.
All righty, everyone, let's get started with today's podcast. My opening topic was going to be about writing that book, right? It's 2025. People have resolutions, people have goals, and a lot of people say they want to write the book. Well, I'm going to scrap that because Honorée is certainly going to motivate you to write the book that you want to write. But I was so blown away by her TED Talk, authenticity, being yourself. Incredible. It's right under 10 minutes. I highly recommend it. You could just Google Honorée Corder. If someone's watching the show live, you want to put it in the show notes, that would be great. But she said a lot of amazing things in there about authenticity and being yourself, right? Even in a pile of you know what, she said there's a lot of seeds of greatness, things that can be great, and taking what you have. She shares a little bit about her journey and how she made things happen in her life. And it's extremely motivating. So if you're looking for something, if you're looking for a spark, you're looking for something to kind of get you going, definitely watch her TED Talk there. It's called Authenticity is the New Black. It's fantastic. But being your authentic self here in 2025 and the person that you are and the person that you want to become is certainly the path for your greatness, as Honorée would say. But enough of me talking. Let's bring her in the show. I'm happy to have her on here. Honorée, welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be with you.
Yeah, we're excited. I know this was a long time in the making. We're going to talk book writing today. Your passion, your love.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Honorée, where does that drive come from? Let's get started. We'll get to know you during the show, but where does that drive to write books come from?
Well, I wrote and published my first book, and it absolutely changed the trajectory and direction of my life and what I ended up doing professionally was helping people to write and publish books. So the drive was originally given to me by being told you must write a book. And then I think you have one. Yeah. And then thank you very much. And then my drive today comes from understanding the magic that is on the other side of writing a book. And when I'm sitting across from someone and they are contemplating writing a book and we're having that conversation, I really have to temper my enthusiasm because it can be a lot, because I know what's on the other side of it, right? You know what's on the other side of your students studying and getting good grades, because you know that's setting them up for success. But if you say it too much or too often, or you're too overbearing, they're like, whoa, settle down, right? So I have to kind of temper my enthusiasm, but I know that on the other side of writing a book is a whole list of things that are unknowable, that are magical for the author. And I just want them to get there as soon as possible.
And so why temper it? I like to be excited. I want to be passionate about what I'm doing, but why would you kind of hold back on that?
I'm very tall. I'm very enthusiastic. I'm big. I have big energy.
Yeah.
So I want to convey it. And I want someone to be 100% a yes.
Yeah.
I want them to authentically make that yes decision with no regrets. They have to be as excited about it as I am, right? We have to kind of be pushing at the same force. Otherwise, you have to, if you convince somebody of something, you have to keep convincing them.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've told students, you said students, I've told students, like, I can't be more excited about you graduating than you. Like, this is your journey. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to your writing. What was it? What did someone say? Hey, you must write this book. What made those fingers hit the keyboard to say, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. So I was at a conference in 2004. So this is now 20-ish, more than 20 years ago. And Mark Victor Hansen, who you will know is the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, was a speaker. And after he gave his talk, I came to the back of the room, which is where the nerds sit. So there I was with my computer, right, writing the notes of his talk. And he came back and he said, I'm Mark. And I'm like, I know. I know exactly who you are. And he said, what do you do? And I was like, oh, well, I'm a coach and a speaker. And he goes, honey, everybody's a coach and a speaker. You must write a book. And I said, okay. And I asked him, I had a few minutes with him. I don't know if it was 3 minutes or 30.
Wow.
But I asked questions and I just listened. What would I write a book about? And he gave me some very key advice, which I immediately wrote down and went home and took action on, and wrote and published my first book. And it was incredibly life-changing. I was a coach and a speaker at the time. I was doing executive and business coaching, and my book was a speech that I gave often. That was his advice. Do you have a presentation that you give that's popular? Yes. Write that down. That's your first book. There's a whole lot missing in that advice, but it was very apropos advice. And I took it and I published my first book. And that effort was horrible. There are no remaining copies of that book to this day, because I didn't know what I didn't know about quality. Let's start with writing a quality book that someone would want to read, and the factors that matter in that situation. But I then rewrote the book and published it with editing and a professional cover, the little things that matter. And it really made a difference in my business, in that I was able to get more clients more often for more money. And then I started talking to those clients about writing their own books, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful story there. And I just love the energy. I love the passion. Many people, Honorée, want to write a book. Many people talk about writing the book. And you said the key words in there. You went home and took action. Why do so many people want to do it, but they don't?
I think they overthink it. They have imposter syndrome. I have people all the time who say, do I really have something to say? Yeah. Is what I have to say different or unique or interesting to other people? I have answers to all of those questions, right? But ultimately they don't know the effective questions to ask, and they certainly can be asking some ineffective questions. Asking the question, well, do I have anything interesting to other people to say, is an ineffective question. A more effective question is, what is it that I say that is helpful to other people? What am I saying consistently that is transformational for the people I'm talking to? What are the questions I'm answering every day in my business that if I had that in the form of a book would allow people to get to know me in the pages of my book, while setting the stage for the right people to hire me and for the people that aren't right for me to choose out because they don't like my authenticity. They don't like my energy and enthusiasm. You're too happy about books, Honorée. We don't like you, right? So those people, don't call me if that's how you feel, right? So but if you want to write a book and you want someone who thinks books are amazing, I might be someone you want to talk to, right? So all of that can happen inside of a book. And so I think the reason people don't take action also is because writing a book is an overwhelming endeavor. To be effective at it, to do it well, takes skill and expertise and knowing lots of different things, which they may or may not know in their original career. And if you do it ineffectively, if you publish a bad book or you don't do it well, it can actually work against you. And I think people intuitively know that if they don't expressly know that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're afraid of it looking bad and then going bad. Yeah. So, Honorée, we're going to get into the techniques here, but certainly, again, your TED Talk was very authentic. It was very raw. You share all the good and the bad there. But you say, hey, I was almost a non-graduate. I'm in the education business. And you say, I was almost a non-graduate. How do you go from almost being a non-graduate of high school to publishing 67 books?
Well, there was begging. I begged to graduate. Please graduate. I promise I'll behave. I went to 5 high schools. I had a very interesting and somewhat tumultuous childhood. And so it wasn't a desire to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a reader. Thank goodness I can read, because I figured out in my early 20s that if I wanted to do something, chances are there was a book I could read and I could teach myself how to do it. Or there was someone who had written a book I could learn from. And so my mantra is always, if you can read, you can learn. If you can learn, you can do the thing that you want to do. It wasn't for lack of wanting to learn. There were several other factors that were, applicable in that case. I didn't write my first book. Now, I wasn't old by standards, right? I was 34 when I published my first book. So, but certainly not just right out of college. I wasn't a journalism major. I never went to college, so I didn't take any writing classes or anything like that in college. I just wanted to do it. I took action. I took advice, took the advice that was given to me, and I took action on it. And then I liked it, Andrew. And then I got the fever. And then I had another book idea and another book idea and another book idea. And then after a while, people were just calling me and saying, oh, you should write a book about this, or I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. You should write a book about this, which I don't think anybody understands unless they are an author, or what it's like for someone to say, you should just write it. I'm like, did you just give me a book to write? Are you kidding? So very often I will have people suggest book titles for me, which I think is, fun and interesting. And I have written a few of those books over time. So I like it. I think it's fun. Yeah. I like the process. It's challenging. I'm working on a project right now. It's making my head hurt, which in the best possible way. So it's all good.
If you're watching live, jump in, leave a question for Honorée. Again, if you're curious, if you're thinking about writing that book, Honorée, I recently presented at a conference, right, about write your book. And there was a lot of educators there. They're curious. They want to do it. They're feeling that desire. So how do I do it? How do I get started? When do I do it? What would you say is the best recipe to do it?
I have all of those. I have answers to all of those questions. So thank you for asking. So when you should do it, there's no should. I'm not going to should on you, but I'm going to suggest that when the idea occurs to you, that's probably a seed that's been planted that you want to nurture and grow. And it just depends on when you can fit it into your schedule, right? I recommend to most authors to identify what they want from the book. So what's in it for you to write a book? Do you want to boost your brand, get more business, become the go-to expert, develop clients, develop customers? What what is it that you want from the book? Be very, very clear about what you want from the book, and then get clear on what you want a reader to do. In other words, what are you teaching them that you are empowering them to do? And what do you want them to avoid doing? What mistakes do you want them to avoid making? And then ultimately, what would the right person do? What would someone do who was the absolute right and perfect person to do whatever it is you want them to do? So if you were to write a book for students, you would want students to have better study habits, maybe have perfect attendance, maybe go to Harvard, right? So you could have that, feather in your cap. Like we had, 10% of our students go to an Ivy League school, something like that. I don't know. I didn't go to community college, so I'm not advocating for Ivy League schools. I'm just saying you have to decide what's in it for the reader. Why are they giving you their most precious asset, which is their time to read your book? Get very clear on all of that. And that will actually give you direction, because you wouldn't put anything about dog training in your book for college-bound students. So if you think, oh, I want to write about this, like, well, is that really appropriate material? Does that really factor into what I'm doing? And then there are lots of other things after that, but those are really the very beginning thoughts for getting started with a book.
And we're all busy. We all have jobs, right? Everyone's life looks a little different,
Yes.
When would you say, and again, we're definitely going to get into how Elrod and your connection there.
Yeah.
I am a Miracle Morning guy. I'm
Excellent.
a Savers. I have fallen in love with that concept.
Excellent.
I look forward to 5 a.m.
Same.
Is that the magic sauce? Is that the time to do it?
Well, Hal would say it's not getting up necessarily earlier. It's getting up better. It's being intentional and purposeful with your morning. I am team morning myself, right? I'm team get up early. I get up at 4 in the morning. But because I like it, it's my choice. I choose to do that. I can choose to do that. And I choose to do that. Not everyone has the ability to choose exactly when they get up and what they do when they get up and what they do all day. That is the life that I have grown into. So I don't necessarily think it's morning. I think what you're asking is, when should someone write their book? Like what time of day? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
So it's whenever you're going to write your book, right? Ultimately, my husband is a night owl. I'm a lark. He's an owl, right? So if I said to him, okay, the only time of day to write your book is between 5 and 6, he would be like, nope.
Yeah.
But if I said you could write your book between 1 and 3 in the morning, he would be like, now you're talking.
Wow.
And also, because you have all of those constraints, if you are not a full-time writer, author, and you can control your schedule, I'm an entrepreneur, so I get to choose which 15 hours a day I work, right? So I have all the choices. You will have to find the time to do the writing. You may have to carve out 15 minutes where you go into the bathroom and type on your iPad or on your phone. But the best advice I can give is to decide that you're going to do it. That's the first thing. Decide that you're going to do it. Decide when you're going to do it, and then set an alarm and make it an appointment that you don't violate. It's an appointment a time that you schedule with yourself, and then you don't do anything else during that time period. And I have a writing habit. I write every day. I write every morning. It's a habit. It's who I am. And I'm still having to remind myself, no, I don't need to check that right now. I need to write. I don't need to look at my phone right now. I can look at it when my writing time is over. I still have to kind of, I'm like the plane that's off course 97% of the time. I'm just course correcting.
Yeah. And do you have the phone like turned off, notifications and all that kind of stuff?
My phone is always on silent, but it's also right there.
Yeah.
It's like right here. It's,
I've added this, Honorée. I've added the timer.
I have it. I have one. I have one. Look, it has all the things on it. My phone has a timer. I have a timer on my desk. I have a countdown timer on my computer. But I still have the things that are distractions, right? I still have the, just all these little things that are right there that I could be doing, not writing. And I have to just put the blinders on. And I say that because all these books later, all these years later, I'm still having to rein it in. And so when someone, if they on day 3, they're like, oh, I failed, never mind, I'm just not going to do it. Just, if you don't miss a day, if you miss a day, don't miss 2 days. And if you miss 2 days, don't miss 3 days. And if you miss a month or 6 months, just start again, make a new decision, remember why you started, get right, and then just come right back to it and just keep doing it until you've done it. Home
run. This is great advice. Again, if you're thinking about writing that book, you're curious about it, Honorée is an expert, and I'm loving what she's saying here. Honorée, the titles, they're so catchy. They're so kind of direct, like, hey, including stop trying so blankety blank hard. I love it, right? I ordered it. As soon as I saw the title, I'm like, bam. Because I try really hard, right? I'm always pressing too hard. Talk to me about the titles. Do they just pop in your head? You kick it around and you look at it like, oh yeah, like, is it like Scrabble when you see it? It's like, yeah.
Sometimes titles are very important. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're not good. I'll talk just a second about science. The science, I think it's an art and a science of titling. And then I'll share a little story of how I got a title, very sadly wrong. And I've rectified the wrong. So the science of titling is very simply, and you nailed it. You said the titles are just bam there. It is what it is. The title of a book needs to be what it is about. Your reader needs to look at the book title and, like you said, bam, oh, I need that book. You want them to buy and read and review and share about your book. That is the goal of every author, right? So buy, read it, review it, tell your friends, post it on social media, right? That's what authors want. So when someone has the opportunity to look at a book title, if they don't know immediately what the book is about, there can be no nebulosity, which probably is not a word, but you can't be nebulous. You can't be cute or clever. So this is where I went horribly wrong. 10 years ago, I published a book called Business Dating: Applying Relationship Rules in Business for Ultimate Success. Hi, it's a book about networking in business. However, no one read the book or almost no one read the book. The people who read the book loved it, but they read the book because they knew me, and I told them it was a book about networking. Now, I didn't title it business networking, because I was being clever. I was like, ooh, I'm taking what people do in dating, personal dating, and I'm sharing how people do that in business. For example, when you go meet someone for coffee, and they're an insurance salesman, and they go, so Andrew, I sell car and home and life insurance. Who do you know that would like to buy car, home, and life insurance? And you're like, we just met. Are you kidding me with this right now? Like, I'm not opening up my Rolodex to you and introducing you to everyone I know. So, hold the phone. Let's develop a relationship. I saw too many people going in for the sale too fast. So I thought, well, in personal relationships, if someone goes for the sale too fast, whoa, that's not what we came for. We came for a nice dinner. This is just our first date, settle down. And so I realized a few years ago that the title was wrong, and I just wasn't sure what to do about it. And I noodled on it. And I finally decided last year to rewrite and retitle the book. That is now Business Networking. Okay. So I published that book the end of September. Here's the bummer / this is the really cool part about how important a title is. I've sold more copies of Business Networking since the end of September, 4 months ago, than I sold of Business Dating in 10 years.
Wow.
Because I would have people say to me, I'm happily married. I don't need that book. I love your books. You have a lot of books. I have so many books to read. So when I can X one out, I don't have to read a book. I'm really happy about it because there's so many to choose from, right? Which is literally every person all the time. Not about my books, but I have hundreds of books on my Kindle that I want to read. I want to read them right now. I just am doing this right now. I don't have the time to do it. And I'm good. Probably by the end of the day, I will have bought 3 more books. It's a sickness. So all of that to say is your book title, it's very important that the book title is very direct. So the title is what exactly the book is about. And then The subtitle is, what does someone get in exchange for their time and their money? In other words, what's the benefit to the reader? So for business networking, it's become a rainmaker by building fantastic relationships that stand the test of time. So if someone reads that, they go, I think I need to do better business networking. Oh, I want to become a rainmaker. I want these mutually beneficial, long-lasting relationships, which is what the subtitle implies. They go, bam, I need that book, which is why the book is selling to people who are far outside of my influence, because they're seeing it and saying, I don't know even what an honorée is. Is that the author's name? What's happening here? But I want to read the book.
I don't know what an honorée is.
Did she win something? Why is that name on there? So all that to say is it's very important that your title is effectively chosen.
Yeah. And you're certainly doing that. You're hitting the mark in a lot of areas. Fantastic. Check them out. She kindly sent me this. It's beautiful, Honorée, the hardback here. And I love it, right? She also runs Empire Building Mastermind, does all sorts of other magical things, and her badassery is legendary. And you can find out more honoreecorder.com. I mean, it's so now I'm curious, right? Oh, what magical things is she doing? Well, one of those things was your TED Talk. I spoke about it to open the show. Tell me about that and giving the talk and hitting. I saw the little clock on the stage. It was counting down. And you could see you glanced at it a couple times. Tell me about that whole thing, the TED Talk, and how that went for you.
So my background is executive and business coaching, as I mentioned, and one of my clients said, oh my gosh, there are these things called TED Talks and TEDx Talks, and you have to give one, and I'm going to put on a TEDx event so you can have a TEDx talk. And I was like, what? And I had heard about it, but think about how now everybody knows TED, everybody knows TEDx. Like it's ubiquitous now. But 10 years ago, it was not. And it was so interesting as it has gained notoriety, how cool it is to have that under my belt, to be able to say that I'm a TEDx speaker. But so my client Caroline puts the event on, and I think I was in the first half of the day, but toward the break. So I saw the first few people go on, and that was really fun. And then it was just fun. I love speaking. I am a professional speaker, and I love getting up and motivating and inspiring audiences. And also I'm a closet comedian. So I tend to be, a little funny and irreverent from the stage, because I think we've all sat through very boring, uninteresting speakers, and that's no fun. And so I like to bring humor to bear, even as I'm educating people on whatever topic. And so it was a big fun time. It was super fun. I looked up at one point, I think they took it out of the presentation, but I looked up at one point and there was this giant disco ball, and I was like, oh, and there's a disco ball.
No, you said it. It was there.
Well, okay, it was in there. I thought at one point they had taken that out. It's like, oh, there's a disco ball. Look at that. It was just really fun. Like I had someone style my outfit, and it was so much fun. And it's been a wonderful conversation piece. Having given thousands of presentations, there's no other presentation that I talk about ever besides my TEDx talk. So it's a conversation starter. It was a really fun day. My husband was there. It was just awesome.
And you said a beautiful line from your husband. It was in the talk there. Wow. You can't do the wrong thing with the right person.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
What country music listening? Like that's the best line ever.
I got to use it in my talk. I mean, and he's not wrong. I mean, it's so interesting that when I have gotten in my head about something, I think the right person is going to go, oh, I like her, so it doesn't matter. And the person that doesn't like me, I could be perfect and be on my best behavior and do everything amazingly. And they'll be like, I just don't like her. So she's dead to me. Right. And that's everybody. Right. If we go, oh, I mean, if Betty White murdered someone, we'd be like, well, but it's Betty White. So they deserved it. It's Betty. Everyone loves Betty White. Right. But think of someone that is unpopular, and I can't really think of a single person that everyone hates necessarily. right? So I can't go, but if they did it, well, even if he was, they founded like the best nonprofit in the world that feeds all orphans and homeless people and like eliminates addiction, right? All of it's gone. Well, but it's, still that guy. We hate him. Right. And so it goes the opposite direction. You can't do the right thing with the wrong person. You can't do the wrong thing with the right person. If someone likes you, they're going to like you. And if someone doesn't like you, nothing you do is going to convince them to like you. And so just be your authentic self. That was my entire message, and inspired by my husband, actually.
And with the humor, you started with a very serious topic, but you had some funny lines in there. I love it. I agree with you about the humor. People want to laugh. They feel good themselves when they do laugh. So really well done. Honorée, you connected with Hal. You told the story in the TED Talk. You left a 5-star review on the Miracle Morning, and he reached out to you, which then developed a great business relationship. Tell me what it's like working with Hal and that whole incredible journey of the Miracle Morning.
Yeah. So he had the Miracle Morning and I had the Successful Single Mom book series, and he wanted a book series. And so we, for I think about 5 years, we partnered until he was diagnosed with cancer. We did, I think, 12 main titles. We ended with the Miracle Morning for Teachers. I don't know if you've seen that one. And we have 6 other companion, the Miracle Morning for Parents and Families, and then the playbook that goes with it. So there's workbooks, playbooks, coloring books, right? Some different products. Super awesome to take that core content, the lifesavers, and customize it for the different verticals. So entrepreneurs, parents and families, teachers, college students,
writers,
entrepreneurs, salespeople. How could I forget writers, real estate agents, etc. So we did a whole bunch of really wonderful books that got that message out and is getting the message out. Many, many, many language translations, which is super fun, and all the time, and still practicing, still doing my lifesavers every day.
Yeah. You have
9 million days and counting, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about Hal, and so sorry to hear that.
He's fine. He's better, but we worked together closely for about 5 years.
I'm a big fan, so very cool. Honorée, I've been throwing questions at you. What's something that you wanted to talk about? What's something that you wanted to share?
Oh gosh, I don't. You didn't tell me to come prepared to share something. I came prepared to answer questions. Gosh. I can share that if anyone is thinking, I want to write a book, but who am I to write a book? Who are you not to write a book? Someone who has the need for your message can only hear it from you, if only because it's coming from you. So even if there are 50 books or 100 books on a topic that you want to write about, it would not be written in the same way, in the same voice, from the same perspective, with the same background, experience, knowledge, education, etc., unless it comes from you. So if you feel it in your heart to write a book, it will change your life in every magical way you can think of, and many that you have no idea about. And I highly, highly encourage you to do it.
Well said. I concur.
Thank you.
Listeners, you certainly can go to honoreecorder.com. As soon as you get on the website, there on your site, Honorée, you're looking at you. It's like you're saying, come write that book. Like your eyes are calling you in, and she's an expert here. Certainly go on there. There's a bunch of free resources as well. You can download free chapters, things like that. Well done, Honorée. This was great. And there's a lot of educators out there that want to write that book. So I second your thing. They can do it, written in your language. Yeah. Cool. Well, Honorée, this was awesome. Let's get to rapid fire, and then I got things for you. These are quick answers, fast. 4 a.m. Are you ready?
Yes.
What is the last book you read?
What is the last book I read? I can't talk about it.
Is that the name of the title?
No. No, I want to say the last book I finished is a reread of Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Do you read multiple books at the same time?
Yes.
You do, yeah. I do that as well.
Yes.
Last movie you saw?
Oh, I don't remember the title of it. Everything's on streaming.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Are you and your husband movie watchers? Is that a
we are. I'm right now mostly obsessed with anything Taylor Sheridan writes. So we just finished the first season of Landman. So Landman is great. I mean,
that's
like,
on Paramount? Is that great? You would recommend it?
have you not seen it?
No.
Oh, all 8 episodes are out. All I can say to you is start on early on a Sunday or like after church. Like do whatever you do on Sunday.
You're a
And
binge
then
watcher.
don't plan on anything else because you're not gonna. We had to wait. We did it 8 seasons, and every day I'd wake up. Is it Sunday? No, it's Sunday.
All right. Well, I'm an elliptical guy in my Miracle Morning, so I might.
Yeah, so you're gonna do legitimately 8 hours of on the elliptical. Great.
Last concert you went to?
My husband is in the music business, and so we went to like a multi performer event at a place here in Nashville called Winners and Losers.
Wow.
So a whole bunch of people there.
Is your husband in the country music field?
He's in all music.
Okay.
If you like 80s music, ask me about it after the show.
What's your favorite dish?
To eat?
Yes.
Anything my husband makes. He is an unbelievable chef. So he makes brisket, he makes burnt ends.
Nice. Wow.
Anything my husband makes, yes.
Favorite place to travel?
Oh, anywhere my husband goes. Like we just travel and we have a great time wherever we go. So we're going to Ohio in a few weeks. Don't get jealous. But then we are going over to Europe later in the year.
Beautiful. An airplane is a great place to write.
It is. It's like there's some kind of crack air that they put in. Seriously, the minute I write down, I sit down.
Yeah.
It all starts to come. It doesn't matter if I'm tired or what's happening. I love it. I'm the cat on the typewriter.
Writing is fill in the blank.
Bliss.
In 2025, I will fill in the blank.
Write fiction.
Will it be your first fiction work?
It will be my first fiction. My first
I was
published
going to ask you about that. So you're making the story up here?
I'm making the story. I'm killing people, but not going to jail.
I've been curious about that. I love stories, but it's like, can I make my own up?
I know. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh,
We'll see. It's just fun. Just for fun. Yeah.
In 2025, I will stop fill in the blank.
Saying yes when my intuition says say no.
Good skill.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't in your field, what field would you be in?
I would be a trainer. I'd be a fitness trainer.
Were you a basketball player? You said you're tall.
No, I'm so awkward. I was a runner.
Okay.
They wanted me to play basketball so bad, but I am massively uncoordinated on the court. So they were like, oh, sit down. We need a number of people on the team, but you need to just sit there and be quiet. Yeah.
There's the track. What's a pet peeve of yours? You shared your passions today. What's a pet peeve?
People who follow up or reach out to me only when they want something, not because they want to develop an authentic relationship. Yes, that frustrates me. Yes.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel, or I am.
At the gym.
That's your time. Is your husband up? Are you guys a couple gym people?
No, he's still in bed. He came to bed at 3 or 4. He works at night. I go to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and he is on the computer. He's the CEO of 3 companies. So he is constantly working. And so we have our time together. So after work for me, before work for him. I mean, he works all day too, but he just doesn't get up as early. He only needs like 4 hours of sleep. It's super annoying. So he'll come to bed at 4, and at 8 o'clock, he's like, I'm up. It's so annoying. So annoying. It's really frustrating.
Is there something about Honorée Corder that people do not know about?
Oh, so many things. So many things. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of an open book, but I am obsessed with studying languages. So I've been studying French for years. So that's not an unknown thing, but I have 5 languages I want to be fluent in besides English before I die. So if I die next week, I'm in trouble.
You should definitely sign up to have them check your brain out. You got good things going on in there. Maybe they can like pull some of that stuff out. I could get it into students and that kind of stuff.
Like, you know what? I think something that I wish schools did better, to be frank with you, is not to make readers or kids or people read things they don't like, because then they think they don't like reading.
Yes.
Right? So it's like all the time you have to read all the stuff you don't like. So when you're out of school, you go, I don't want to read. And so it was interesting as a young adult to have someone recommend a book to me. And I was like, I don't know if I want to read that. And then I read it. I was like, oh, I like this type of book. So there are genres of book I don't read because I don't like them, but legitimately, books are my work. Yeah. I'm working and I'm reading a book all the time. So when you said, do I read multiple books? I read multiple books for work because I'm producing books. Yeah. And then someone said, well, do you read probably don't read for pleasure? Then I'm like, are you kidding? I have a stack of books downstairs on the table that every minute that I'm not doing something else, I have a book on my phone. I have a book in my ear. If I'm cleaning the bathroom, if I'm, walking the dogs, I have a book in my ear. I read nonstop, but I never read something that doesn't grab me. And I only read what I want to read, unless it's for work. But then the books I produce are basically always books I'm interested in producing anyway. But I think that if you can give a kid a love of reading, you've won, because then they will always want to read. And when you want to read, you want to learn. And when you're learning, you're growing. And so I think that's just I am not telling anyone how to do their business for sure. Right. But when people say to me, I don't read, I don't like to read. It's like, well, why don't you like to read? Well, because in school they made me read, Jane Eyre or, whatever. And I didn't like it. And so I had to read it and I had to do the stupid book report and I, blah, 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 blah. And so I hate it. And it's like, gosh, if you could just find the thing that you love to read, then you would read obsessively, because reading is the best. Right?
Honorée Corder, everyone. This has been fantastic. Leave her some comments in the chat there. And again, if you are curious about writing that book, you want to learn more, certainly check her out online. A lot of resources and certainly a lot of help, coaching people, leading people, guiding people, and more. So, Honorée, you have a quote? You have a quote you want to share to end the show with?
There's always a way if you're committed. You'll find a way or you'll find an excuse.
Well said. Honorée, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Guys, check her out. She walks the talk and talks the walk. I don't know how you say that. But, I as soon as I met you, I'm like, wow, she's the real deal. And you are the real deal. Thank you for your work, helping people write. And certainly thanks for all these amazing books. I am looking forward to finishing this. And then I'm going to listen to, I did Audible.
Oh, awesome.
Stop trying so blankety blank hard.
It's the fun side. It's the fun side of my sense of humor.
Awesome. Thanks, Honorée.
Thank you.
All right. You stay on the line a second. We're going to sign off here on the podcast. Thanks, everyone, tuning in. If you haven't started that book, if Honorée did not motivate you one more time, write that book. Honorée, thanks, my friend. We'll talk. Bye-bye.